Mr Chair, I wasn't going to take a call on this part because this isn't the part that's particularly relevant to the issue that Mteria Ture just raised, but I thought that I should foreshadow that, yes, we will be moving an amendment to remove clause 54 from the bill, which is a later part, and I will talk to the reasons why we will do that at that time, because I'm sure the Chair would rule me out of order if I tried to discuss it now, and he's nodding his head very sagely, I notice. And so I think what I'd like to talk about is the purpose of the Act, which is Clause 3. And Clause 3 states that the purpose of the Act is to make provision for an indicative referendum to be held in conjunction with the first general election after the commencement of this Act, in order to provide electors with the opportunity to express an opinion on the preferred system of voting for election to the House of Representatives in New Zealand. And I actually think it is worthwhile in the committee stages to actually reflect on why this purpose has been written in this particular way, because actually we didn't know as a country that we were going to be having a referendum on MMP, despite the very widely held misbelief that we had been promised one when MMP was first introduced under a national government in 1996. But what we did have was we had a very strong signal from the National Party in this regard. And I've got a quote from the coverage of the announcement when Mr John Key, then the Leader of the Opposition, announced in the lead up to the 2008 election the actual 10 election pledges that they were taking to the election. And one of the pledges, in fact the very last pledge on that list of pledges, was around a promise for a referendum on MMP. Now, I'm going to come to this point, I think, a little bit more later on in the bill when we get to the provisions relating to the caps on expenditure for third party. But I think it's important to remember that we already have provisions in law around citizens-initiated referenda. But this is a citizens-initiated referendum, and it's masquerading as a government one, and this was when the deal was done. It was done in the lead-up to the 2008 election. And here's the quote from the Herald. Mr Key, who made the referendum one of 10 election pledges in his speech to National's annual conference today, said he believed voters would reject MMP. I think the country may well vote MMP out. Now, that's a split infinitive if I ever saw one, but there you go. But I think they will vote in another proportional system, he told reporters. I don't think they'll go back to first past the post. But after 12 years of MMP, it was important to give voters a choice, he said. I do think voters thought they were going to get an opportunity to kick the tyres, and we're giving them that opportunity. I hate that expression. I hate that expression. In fact, he's used it very inappropriately in relation to the Pike River disaster as well recently. But on this particular occasion, he's making it sound as if it's a very casual thing, kicking the tyres. But actually it's not. This is quite deliberate. And we know exactly who's behind the desire to have this referendum. And we also know that this statement, I don't think they'll go back to first past the post, was put there deliberately because the target is supplementary member. The target is to get rid of MMP and replace it with supplementary member, which is first past the post with a winner's bonus. That's all it is. There is nothing more than that. It is not a system of proportional representation. Only a small number, 30 of the MPs, are voted under a proportional system, so it doesn't make the result proportional at all. I think that it is important in looking at the purpose of the Act in Clause 3 that we're talking about people expressing an opinion on the preferred system of voting for election to the House of Representatives. This was a deliberate strategy to get this up in front of the public eye, and it's got nothing to do with kicking the tyres. It's got everything to do with a predetermined plan. I was going to quote that wonderful Mahon expression from the Royal Commission into the Erebus inquiry, but I won't use that language because I might be held up for a breach of standing orders for that. It as well. So, but when we get to the other provisions of the bill, then I'm certainly going to talk about both the amount of the cap and why that's important, and I will also talk about the amendment that I'm moving by way of supplementary order paper.